Most hotels in India are actually what I call glorified Paravkars. शादियां होती हैं hotels में, उससे पैसे बनते हैं. You worked with Mr. Oberoi, right? You were making nearly at that time $1 million a year. You had all the best cars.
And to leave all of that behind is a very different journey, right?
For all the negative press that you saw on Goa, why didn't you in your own country seek the real Goa? The service for hotels, for luxury hotels in Europe today is better than the service for luxury hotels in India.
And the rest of Asia also probably does a great job.
Fantastic. So India is no longer the hospitality beacon. We have killed the industry ourselves. At the Postcard on the Arabian Sea, which is 0 meters from the sea, we do a very nice experience. We will take you for breakfast with your partner into the middle of the Arabian Sea. So the coffee bar you served is actually the old stock worth in EazyDiner worth millions.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
His name is Harinder. He owns stocks worth millions. I think he's already cashed out $500,000. At EazyDiner, you will save more money than on any other app. Always. 100% all the time.
How does a middle class Delhi boy go on to this pinnacle of luxury hospitality in India? You went on from being this Delhi boy to becoming the president of Oberoi Hotels, which is probably the most wanted job in this industry. How did that happen?
I was like a normal kid. I was playing in the parks, which you can't any longer because of the pollution that is there in Delhi and Gurgaon.
So you grew up in Delhi?
I grew up in Delhi, and then it was always fun. I was the only child of my parents, so it was always good. It was fun. A lot of friends, a lot of playing around. I think I never wanted to do hotel school. I kind of have said this many times earlier. I actually wanted to be a doctor. My father was a doctor, and I gave the entrance exam. I think I must have come last. I think I gave every single exam. I cleared none. So I kind of gave hotel management to prepare for another exam, and I kind of cleared it. And the only thing, and I never wanted to do hotel management. I think the only thing going for me was, and when I went to college, was that the food was very good. And I've always, you come from a Punjabi household in Delhi, the conversation is always about food.
Yeah.
And it was always about food at my house too.
Paint this picture, like what was like the family situation, like the kind of homes you lived in. What was wealth like around that time?
So I think India in the 1970s and 80s was not a wealthy country. I always say that I think India kind of post liberalization was the first time that India started seeing wealth. And I think real wealth, because I kind of work in the hotel and travel business, actually people started spending on themselves without any guilt. I think post 2012, 13. Right. That's what I think. And I kind of saw that happen. Domestic tourism picked up and all those. But I think those days everybody was middle class. Means you had to wait for a telephone connection, you had to wait for gas, you had to apply for a car. I think you had to wait for everything really. So I think there was a different attitude to wealth. I think there was a different attitude to kind of just getting by and making sure that you had a job. And and that's very different from where the world stands today, really. Yeah. Means because it's not about a job, but it's about, there are options that people can do. And I think India today has become much more aspirational. I think it's the Maslow's law of hierarchy. I think when we were growing up, it was more about just survive, make sure you get a job.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get a job, it'll be pretty tough.
Yeah. And Kapil, on those lines, you worked with somebody who's known to be a doyen of Indian hospitality, Mr. Oberoi, right? And you probably worked like really closely, interacted on a day-to-day basis. What were the elements of those interactions or his personality that were actually making Oberoi Hotels what it was?
So think, very simple. We read books and we call it founder's agenda. What is the agenda of the founder is what will drive the company.
Okay.
So you don't deserve the day you start saying that, listen, if people make money or lose money, what can I do really? It's the choices that people make.
Yeah.
Against saying that, people can make money or lose money, but we will advise always the right thing.
Yeah. And it's my responsibility, whatever happens.
That's your agenda.
Yeah.
So if your agenda is grow at any cost, then your company will follow grow at any cost.
Correct.
Yeah. So the founder's agenda is the key to any business. And with Mr. Oberoi, the agenda was very clear. The guest comes first and build a great institutional brand. And that is what made Oberoi the brand it has been. So I think what service-led companies need to do is, have what I call complete ownership. And ownership does not come from a different mindset. So when you came in today into the office to shoot this podcast, every single person who's interacted with you is an owner of a significant stake. So the coffee boy who subbed you is actually, he owns stock worth in EazyDiner worth millions.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
His name is Harinder. He owns stock worth millions. I think he's already cashed out 500,000. Yeah. So, and he still has much more. So I think you have to cultivate the ownership mindset into your entire company. So I always say, when you're running a hotel, and in any hotel, there are only 4 steps of service. Just 4 things. It's a 30 seconds class to build a service business. Step 1. So let's say you're running wealth management. Warm welcome. How is your welcome at Deserve better than the welcome by any other wealth management firm? List down 5 warm welcome points. If not 5, 3.
Sure.
Second, anticipatory service. Anticipate what the customer wants. I have maybe a corpus of 10 crores and you come and say, why don't you go and buy DLF Dahlias at 100 crores? Not possible.
Yeah.
You're not anticipated my needs. Third, when you've anticipated that, give me a zero defect product. Things should not fail. Yeah. So in a hotel, very simple. Anticipatory service. For example, we had a separate sequence for people coming in after 10 p.m. Then people coming in at 2 p.m. when we were taking you to your room.
Okay.
Because post 10 p.m., most likely you're coming in from an international flight.
Yeah.
Because all international flights mostly are landing after 10 p.m.
Sure.
So that means you're already tired. India is not a short haul destination. People are not coming to India from Pakistan.
Yeah.
They're coming from Europe or the US or wherever. And so they're already tired.
Yeah.
They've crossed immigration, everything, security. They were at their airport 2 hours earlier. So just keep it simple. Can I get you a tea or coffee? Can I take your laundry? Because most likely you're coming for business if you're coming to a city in Delhi. Just if you need anything, just press the butler button and the butler will be there to assist you. And do you need a wake up call tomorrow morning or you need any ironing? And that's it. While the earlier day sequence would be much more. That's called anticipatory service. I'm anticipating what you may need.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The fourth is fond farewell. Everybody gets it wrong. How do you say bye? How do I end the meeting? How do I say bye on checkout? Let me give you a clear example. How does Postcard disrupt every single hospitality brand on step 1 and 4?
Okay. Tell me more.
At the Postcard Hotel, the resort manager has to welcome you and the resort manager has to say bye. In any hotel, now think about it. Whenever you stayed at any hotel, you're in Gurgaon today, you stay in Bangalore. When you stayed at the hotel, who checked you in was most likely a front desk assistant.
That's right.
And who checked you out will most likely be a front desk assistant.
Or nobody.
Or nobody. Or if you are a VIP, they will have the lobby manager come and ask you and saying, oh, I hope you had a good stay with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it. But that's the Postcard brand standards. I've already disrupted you on 2 counts. My welcome is better because my resort manager is saying hello. And my farewell is better because my resort manager is saying bye.
Yeah.
How do you do it is your thing. Maybe the resort manager or the number 2 at the hotel, you kind of work a way out and say, I'm really sorry. All of you are waking up at 2 a.m. in the morning to say bye. But this is how we're going to work it.
Yeah.
But I think that's how you slot it. So fond farewell, how do you say bye? The 3 best things to say bye. Do you leave a gift in the night? Is there a personalized note on the night? So every single step, we kind of documented it down. We kind of followed it in both companies, at EazyDiner and at the Postcard Hotels, because we said over a longer term period, over a 10-year period or a 20-year period, and institutions are always multi-decade.
Sure.
You don't build an institution in 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So our point is, over a multi-decade period, people will come to know you for your customer service. And I think even on Twitter, if you ever tag me and said, I went to PVR and I couldn't buy my popcorn, or I went to this restaurant, I couldn't get a table and I booked on EazyDiner, I'll always respond.
Yeah, I think this is amazing. This 4-step framework is fantastic. But yeah, through this journey, there's an inflection point which almost triggers you into action. There would been a point when you said that, okay, now I've run this large group called the Oberoi Hotels, and now I want to start my own hotel chain. What was that trigger point? What changed?
So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Always, really. Yeah. Never had the money to be an entrepreneur. Raising capital was difficult. I was fortunate enough to get to a fantastically very well high-paying job with very high social status very early in my life. So very difficult to walk away from all that. Gets even more difficult. So, it was Earlier didn't have the money. Then when I had the money and the social status, very difficult to walk away from it. So I was always in a situation. But I read Jeff Bezos' The Amazon Story, and in which he says very nice that the minimization regret theory.
Yes. Yeah.
Minimize your regrets.
Yeah.
So if you live till 85 and you have to look back on life and what is it that you should have done? I said, I always wanted to prove that we could create a luxury hospitality brand out of India for the world, which is the best in the world. And we could do it as normal middle class people without having legacy capital. I did not have the 120 years and the wealth that the Tata Group had to support Taj.
Yeah.
I do not have the 90-year-old experience and the entrepreneurial spirit of Rai Bahadur M.S. Oberoi in 1934 to start the Oberoi Group. So I did not have the backing of a rich parent such as IDC for IDC Hotels, which has done an absolutely amazing job and great leadership at that company too. But what could I do? So I thought I had one shot at it. And like I said, in 2017, sitting in my office, I could see that the world of global people travel for two reasons: work and leisure. The world of leisure hospitality with the three most iconic brands were no longer founder led. So I think it was all coming together. The minimization regret theory, the fact that I wanted to prove a point. Three, that the world and hotels were actually losing focus over people. I see it all the time. It's rarely that I go to a hotel today. Like I told you, I'm a very sharp judge of customer service. It's rarely that I've gone to a hotel today. I'm trying to think right now, maybe 3 or 4 experiences that I can think are very good. But 8 out of 10 times, I never stayed in a hotel because I absolutely love everybody from the business, or are not over 5 out of 10. In fact, I would say so much so when I was coming up in this business, people would say India's got this Atiti Devo Bhava and all that thing that we always keep on talking and keep on repeating the same things. Okay, but the service for hotels, for luxury hotels in Europe today is better than the service for luxury hotels in India. And that's happened for the first time.
And the rest of Asia also probably does a great job
Fantastic.
around this.
So India is no longer the hospitality beacon of shining light that it was for so long. So because I think we have killed the industry ourselves. Just think about it. When I was doing hotel management, I think 20,000, 30,000 people appeared. And I think there were 2,000 seats. This year, I think there were 10,000 seats, but only 6,000 people appeared. At the top college where we recruit from, out of a batch of 100, only 3 people decided to go into hotels. There were more applications for EazyDiner, which is more tech into food, than Postcard Hotel. In spite of everybody wanting to join Postcard. But just to give you an example, so people don't want to be in hotels. Means I'm not talking about Postcard there, I'm talking about all hotels. There were 3 people who applied for hotel jobs out of a batch of 100. So there is no talent. Without without people, how are you going to serve people? This is a people's business. So if you're not going to get great quality of talent going into hotels, then who's going to serve? So the 10-year long-term trend on hotels, contrary to what everybody's saying, and contrary, let me come to the stock markets for 1 second. 1 month back, watch any business channel, buy tourism stock, buy hotel stocks. Everybody must be bleeding to death right now.
Correct.
So my point of view is, from a longer term perspective, the hospitality industry in India is actually going down. And I'll give you a reason for that. What are hotels today? Your foreign tourism arrivals haven't gone up. So you have no foreign tourism arrivals. Thailand, with all its problems, has demonstrated how foreign tourism arrivals can go up.
Yeah.
Sri Lanka, with all its economic problems, has demonstrated how foreign tourism arrivals can go up. Bhutan, with the challenges of even getting to Bhutan, has demonstrated commitment to moving foreign tourism arrivals. Okay, you're saying no, domestic tourism is enough. That's great. But today, most hotels in India are actually what I call glorified baratgars. शादियां होती हैं hotels में, उससे पैसे बनते हैं. There are hotels in cities like Jaipur, Udaipur, which solely run on weddings. And they're very happy saying, I'm doing 100 crores, then I'm doing a 50 crores operating profit. Nothing wrong with it. But that cannot be the future of tourism in India, the legacy of Indian diversity in culture, in traditions, in cuisine, in everything. That cannot be the future. And that is one of the reasons why we decided that we will go the other way around. Not to say that a wedding should not happen at a Postcard Hotel, but very difficult for us to just say that, okay, you know what? In our 30 days, we're just going to do 27 days of weddings.
Yeah.
then you better open up a wedding banquet hall, really. But a lot of hotels in India are wedding banquet halls, this tier two, tier three, tier one. So, and I think, and what you're seeing with hotel stocks nearly at 52-week lows, in spite of all the boom that you hear, is a classic case of, the long-term future being in a different phase. But nobody will tell you that. Everybody will say, no, it's great. Look at the numbers.
Hmm.
Numbers can lie.
Kapil, I'll come back to this aspect. There's some interesting insights from how you think about Indian tourism. But on your personal side, when you were starting up, you wanted to, I mean, have no regrets. You wanted to prove a point. You saw an opportunity. But there's also the personal side of sort of the financial security. You were making nearly at that time $1 million a year from salary and other compensation. Your lifestyle was very comfortable. You had all the best cars and the great hotels and the best food, etc. And to leave all of that behind and start a new company where suddenly you have no income and all of that from a middle class background is a very different journey, right?
Yeah, so I think, I think it requires a different level of mental toughness, really. I read a beautiful book from Harvard Business School, chapter one on mental toughness. And he says, you got to prepare like Olympic athletes. Think about it. An Olympic athletes prepares for 4 years for the 10 seconds or the 30 seconds race, loses it, and then starts preparing again because they're masters of what I call compartmentalization. So you got to live it like that. And you've got to, you know, mentally preparing yourself mentally is actually the toughest battle. So, but I was very clear. I think I was 44 when I quit. And I was very clear that if I don't do it now, I'll never be able to do it. And I was thinking about doing it since I was 41, 42. And I was very, very well prepared actually before I did it.
Yeah.
I was very well prepared. Mentally, I kind of thought it through. And because I came from a very normal middle class background, and I'd seen what it was and how the ultra rich lived, so I was very clear that it's a great life. But personally, I'd never had any such demands on my own lifestyle or whatever,
Yeah.
or that I had any habits that needed to be sustained. So the moment I thought I was financially secure to play the game, I said we should play this game and not minimize our regrets and kind of build. And I thought, so it's not that I was totally unprepared. I had done trend analysis. I was doing it mentally since 2007 in my head. I never had the money. So I kind of waited for the time. I read a very nice book called The Jungle Rules. I read a lot. And it says, walk 5 miles before it attacks its prey. So that's the art of stalking.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, stalk your goal. If it's a goal, stalk it. Life doesn't happen in a straight line. But yeah, I was very clear that it doesn't matter, that I'm going to build for the long term. And if you really look at it, even if you look at our ownership across both the companies, I really haven't sold much.
You
So
were
whenever Deserve reached out to me, I would really want to tell you guys, I look very wealthy on paper. I'm not wealthy at all.
I think that's just you being humble. But on that note, Kapil, you also had, like, we've spoken a lot about Postcard, but there was EazyDiner, which was, you were a founder of much earlier before you started Postcard. And that's a category which from outside in looks insanely competitive, right? Two of probably India's most well-known startups, Zomato and or now Eternal and Swiggy, are in the space. You are going head up with some people who are really well funded, whereas you didn't raise that kind of financing.
Yeah. So again, you build your company on a DNA of customer service. You build your company frugally. You always think you're building an institution. I don't think so. So first of all, both of them were food delivery companies. They've come into dining now. We were dining for 10 years. We've been doing this for 10 years. It's been our market. Suddenly they've realized that there's a good market to be in, and they both come in. And both of them are great companies. I know both Dipinder and Harsha very well, and both of them are excellent individuals in the way they've built these two great companies that they've built. But it's so much more fun to compete. I'm not a stranger to competition. At Postcard Hotel, I've worked with companies which have had decades of profitability performance. I think Swiggy and Zomato are still kind of just getting about there. And even at EazyDiner, we've now displayed 11 quarters. So, 33 months of profitability now, straight up. So, I think there's space for everybody to play and win. Think about it, means we work a lot with credit cards. And I always say at EazyDiner, you will save more money than on any other app. Always, 100% all the time. And so if as long as that promise stays true to the consumer and they have great customer service, we still don't do AI chatbots. We still do a little bit of it, but we still have our own concierge service which picks up the phone, talks to you. It's not outsourced. We don't do any outsourced services. So as long as you retain that same DNA correctly, there are enough people who want to do that. For every single mass credit card in the country, there's also an affluent credit card.
Yeah.
And what are all the banks doing? You come from this business.
Yeah.
Aren't they catering to the affluent because that's where the money is?
The Pareto is very strong, right?
Yeah. So the EazyDiner is the Pareto game. So we kind of are a product feature on every single affluent game in this country, really. And every single affluent person I meet today, 4 years back was different, says, oh, of course, I know EazyDiner, I booked 10 times on it or 5 times on it, which is absolutely great. So we are kind of running two businesses which are built for an aspirational India. If over the next 10 years, India is going to get richer and richer, and people will have more consumer spending power, then they're going to seek unique, distinctive experiences, and they're going to go for companies which treat them more nicely and don't treat them as a commodity. Okay, and they're going to go for companies where they're not a part of a number. Like 1 million people use us every day. Great, fantastic, but you're just a number. Then I believe we'll be okay. As long as we can keep to those values, we'll be okay. And the great part is, last year we hit a lifetime high on dining in June. We hit a lifetime high on dining in August. We hit a lifetime high on dining in November. We hit a lifetime high on dining in December. So I tell my team, 4 months in a year in a business, you hit a new lifetime high. So the day it stops, then we'll think that maybe we're doing something wrong. Till that time, the party's on. They're growing, we are growing. All three of us are growing together, which is amazing. But yeah, it is fantastic to be among, if I may say, two decacons and play your game. Yeah.
Kapil, take me through now the whole financial aspect behind running Postcard Hotels. From the outside in, it is a hugely capital intensive business.
It is.
At last count about 4,000 crores worth of assets. How does all of that get funded? The cost of capital around it, the revenue models. If you can just walk me through a plan around.
So yeah, so very simple. So we realized that we can never raise capital as much as the three biggest players in India, or even the international players in India. We could never raise as much capital as they did. So how do you come around that, and how do you make sure your brand is not leveraged?
Okay.
Or how do you make sure that you build a great brand like Postcard and then you end up losing control? Yeah. So how do you do that? So we kind of came in with a very strong model on a property company and an operating company. Every single VC or the richest people in India who met us said merge both, and we said no, we'll never merge both, because you see, I'm building the Postcard in Tirupati. By the time it's completed, including the land cost, it will be 400 crores per hotel. That's the size of a mid-tier fund in India, correct? That's one hotel.
That's
So means, so my point is, today, I think in the next 12 months to 18 months, we'll have over $1 billion of assets under management, locked in for 25 years.
So, Kapil, just explain this. You said there is an operating company and there's a property company. What do these things mean?
So the operating company basically owns the intellectual rights to operate the Postcard Hotel brand, which we operate.
Okay.
And a property company could be you yourself saying, listen, I've got this great piece of land in Ranthambore and I've got 100 crores to put in. Can we guys make a great hotel? So you become the individual property company.
Okay.
I can tomorrow go and raise institutional capital on the propco and list REIT 1, REIT 2, REIT 3, REIT 4.
Yeah.
Okay. And I could do one propco with Blackstone, BlackRock, Brookfield, many, Embassy, anybody. There are so many players. I don't know if they would or would not. Or I could just create my own investment vehicles.
Sure.
And actually run those propcos which own these hotels. Got nothing to do with the operating company per se. They are financial model related property companies.
So let's assume you are the opco and I am the propco.
Yes.
Okay. So you are the operating company, I'm the property company.
Yeah.
First let's start with me, as we always do.
Yeah.
What does my economics look like?
Yeah.
Like I invest the capital.
Yeah. So you would get much higher returns than you would get from anything else in life, really, because we're very particular about destinations.
Okay.
But in a lot of cases, what happens is you already have a great piece of land.
So let's say I have this land in Ranthambore, let's say.
Great, fantastic. So we would tell you what is the model to do that. And you would say, I don't want to get involved in building. We'll appoint an architect. We will build it for you. We are maybe one of the only few operators in India who are actually building hotels. I'm building more hotels than everybody else combined together with my manpower.
But the asset will belong entirely to me.
Everything is yours.
Okay.
So I realized much earlier on in life that if I had to scale, think about it, when I was president of Oberoi, I ran something like 25 hotels, all at the higher end. Postcard is today 11 hotels open, another 7 opening.
Hmm.
Now, of course, the number of rooms are lesser, but number of rooms itself is the wrong way to calculate hotels.
Okay.
Because every chain gets up one morning and says, I am the biggest chain in the country. Answer is no. The biggest chain in the country is Oyo. No, but Oyo is not in luxury. Then luxury is a different definition. What do you call luxury?
Yeah.
I used to discuss luxury hotels sometimes with Mr. Oberoi, and he would say, these hotels are not luxury.
Hmm.
Okay, what are you saying? So then what is the definition of luxury?
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people get it wrong.
Sure.
So my point of view is number of rooms is the wrong criteria to look at.
Yeah.
Look at what you are running, what segment you are building it.
Got it.
And segment classification also is very haywire in my opinion. So you can do it multiple ways. So just to say locations and hotels.
Yeah.
So we'll have 18 hotels by the end of this year, and we are only in our 7th year.
Nice.
A lot of people tell us, but Postcard's so good, 6 years. And I tell them, but we've been only around for 6 years. Yeah, everybody else has been around for 10 decades, 9 decades, 8 decades, 3 decades. Neela, I think, is still the youngest at 30 years, maybe, I think. Yeah. So we've just been around 6 years.
Yeah.
What if we are around for another 6 years? Or where will Postcard be? In terms of mind share, in terms of location share, in terms of building the
And it compounds over time, right?
It compounds over time. Yeah. So I'm just saying, just forget about 30 years. Just let's look at 6 years ahead.
So just coming back, let's say I'm running this, I own this property.
Yeah.
And Postcard has helped me make the asset. So there is sort of a physical property.
But two things happen.
Yeah.
So you get two kinds of returns. You get an operational return.
Sure.
Okay. You get an operational return. And that return could range anything from 8% to 12%, depending upon the location you've opened.
So 8 of the revenue. So 8 to 10% of
of the total capital invested.
Okay.
That's why location selection is very key. So depending anything between 8% to 12% of your total investment.
So if I've invested 100 crores, I'll make between 8 to 10 crores as almost like fixed fee.
But you will make or even higher or lower depending upon how the market is. But the bigger part comes is the moment a hotel gets operationalized.
Okay.
Generally, pension funds love hotels like this. You know, a lot of family offices. Imagine you're a family office sitting with 500 crores. Would you want to own a hotel?
Sure.
Right? Fantastic. Great returns. I'll go a great hotel. See, wealth is intangible. Hotels are tangible. You touch, feel, stay, look, everything. Yeah, that's like this. There's such an important part of the game. And so from that perspective, what we really feel is that the value goes up 3x after you do it. I had a situation where one of my owners spent, let's say, let me just say 20 crores for a hotel, a small hotel, and he just divested 26% of it for 18 crores.
Amazing.
And he's now still earning a fantastic return on it. And he's still the majority shareholder.
Incredible.
Just to give you an example.
Incredible.
That's what happens. But it needs great site selection. It needs very good places. You have to say no. So at Postcard Hotel, 99% of the hotels that we get, we say no to because they can't be world class. Our one criteria is global traveler coming in. Elon Musk coming in. Will he love to stay here with his family? If the answer is yes, let's build it.
Yeah.
If the answer is no, let's not build it.
And now let's flipping to the OpCo side of things. How does it work? There is a revenue, which is...
So 2 ways, very simple. Either we do a revenue share lease. You say, listen, Kapil, I run a wealth management platform. I really don't have the time to get involved with this hotel in Ranthambore and find out the manager and have a discussion with you that why are you paying the chef 2 lakhs a month because you got this chef from here. So you know what? Just give me a check every month. Give me a revenue share. So depending on that, when you take a revenue share from us, the risk comes to us because I have to pay if COVID happens all the time.
And you being the OpCo in this case?
I'm the OpCo in both cases.
Yeah.
And the second option is a management contract that most hotel companies do, whether you get a percentage of the top line and a percentage of the bottom line. So when we do a revenue share, we've got skin in the game, which nobody else was doing in India till we started doing it, really.
Really?
So yeah, we were the pioneers in doing that too. So we kind of disrupted a lot of things in construction. We've built a hotel at 13,000 feet in 11 months from start to finish at minus 18 degrees. No brand's being able to do it. Yeah, we launch it in a month. It's a part of a stealth launch. But again, so the point is we've kind of disrupted construction, time of construction, how do you build it, financing, operating models, service models, distribution. Yeah, so we kind of look 0 to 1 on every single thing to build the brand.
So for the OpCo then, the revenue comes from the bookings and the F&B?
No, the OpCo earns revenue from whatever's happening at the hotel. So for example, you put in this 100 crores. Now every year you're making 20 crores of revenue and then you're making 10 crores of profit. A percentage of 20 crores will come to the OpCo. A percentage of 10 crores will come to the OpCo.
Got it.
So the OpCo makes money on that.
Got it. And the rest belongs to the
owner, because it's your property, not
Got it. Got it.
not mine. So I am zero debt with 4,200 crores of assets under management. I am zero debt. And I will continue to say zero debt as I keep on amassing billions and billions of dollars of assets under management.
Yeah.
Our minimum term today is 25 years. We don't sign anything below 25 years.
Yeah.
Our fund life in India is 10 years.
Yeah.
So maybe tomorrow, if you want to turn it around to all my 35 friends who said no to me on EazyDiner, we could be bigger than all the funds combined together. Maybe. I don't know. But we'll play for it.
It's amazing how efficiently you've crafted this model. On one side, there is the asset heavy piece, which is the propco, which is essentially owning the hotel and paying the opco share of
To
revenue.
build, to
Yeah.
operate, to do everything.
Yeah. And therefore, the opco is in a way a services company which also owns the brand.
Yeah. It owns the brand completely.
Yeah.
And that allows us to say no to bad hotels.
You know, Kapil, probably some of the most well-known VVIPs of India have stayed in the hotels that you've run, whether Postcard or Oberoi or the Taj. Sometimes you'll get bizarre requests. What are some of those examples, and like how do you deal with that? Because and that goes to customer service in some sense, right?
So we went through 10,000 negative guest comments. We put a negative filter on TripAdvisor.
Mhm.
What is it that 10,000 people didn't like at the best hotels in the world?
Okay.
Amazing, yeah?
Incredible.
These
You're
are the
talking about.
best hotels in the world.
Yeah.
And what are the 10,000 comments on what did people hate?
We call it inversion. You
Yeah.
identify the thing that
Yeah.
spoils the experience and delete them.
Exactly. So we said, because that will reduce illogical requests to your teams at the hotel, and that will allow them to serve guests better.
Right.
Because you've set expectations on a totally different level,
Hmm.
and you've surprised people with expectations. Correct. So one was, so there was this comment where I still remember, it's a leading hotel in Hong Kong. I won't take a name. Super luxury, most expensive, and the person said, "I've been here 70 times. They did not recognize me. All I asked was a room 2 hours before my check-in time. I'll never come back again." They could not give it to me. They said, "You have to pay 50% of the charge for a room." They made me wait in the lobby for 2 hours to give me that room. And we said early check-in. And then I personally had an experience with Michael Dell at the Oberoi where we couldn't give him a late checkout. We kind of reached out and there was a big thing there. And so we said, let's take it out of the equation. So that means at the Postcard Hotel, there'll be no check-in time, there'll be no checkout time. Now, how do I handle it is my problem.
Yeah.
But there'll be no check-in or checkout time. You don't have to look at a watch or a clock or check your flight time again and saying, let me take the 12 o'clock flight because it'll land into Goa at 2 p.m. and check-in will be 2 p.m. And hotels have actually gone the inverse way.
Yep.
When I had started working in hotels, check-in time was 12 noon. Checkout time was 12 noon. Same. Then the hotels thought, let's take people for a ride. Now today, most of the hotels, even in India, check-in time is 12. And check-in time is 2 p.m. and checkout at 12. So 2 hours gone there. Why?
Yeah.
Why do I, when I'm paying you for 24 hours, why should I say 22? Go further away to Europe, it's 4 p.m. check-in and 12 noon checkout because wages are more expensive. So it's not 20 hours. I think one day it'll be 2 hours. So we said, let's take it out.
Correct.
Yeah. And I remember still being asked a question in a press conference when I launched the brand. It said, what if somebody comes at 1 a.m. and leaves the next night at 11:30 p.m.? How many nights does he get charged? In a normal hotel, 3 nights.
Yeah.
Because you need to reserve the room one day earlier.
Sure.
You need to pay for that night. And next day checkout is 12. You've already exceeded it. So you need to pay for that night.
Yeah.
3 nights. At the Postcard Hotel, 1 night. Why? Because, the calendar date only changed once. And so that's what it is. So they said that it's financially unviable. I said, what am I building for? I'm building for the highest segment of the market. The most affluent people in the world have only one problem and one constraint, and that is time.
Correct.
If I was building a budget hotel with this rule, I would have gone bankrupt because everybody would have gamed me.
Yeah.
But these people have no time.
Yeah.
All they want is control. So give them that control.
Yeah.
Take that stress out. So the hotel manager does not have to answer to this question
Yeah.
of a bizarre request where people would say, why should I pay you till 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Could be one such request, but you don't need to, sir. It's your right. Enjoy the room. Don't worry about it. Go for a game, go for a sightseeing tour, come back at 10 p.m., take a shower before you get on your flight.
Yeah.
In your room. Don't go and take a shower in the spa. I'll give you the spa room. I'll give you that room to take a shower. Please check out. Keep your luggage on the bell list. No. Use your room. Enjoy it. So that was one. The second thing was, when we looked at those 10,000 comments, was breakfast.
Okay.
Which was that, by the time I woke up, the breakfast buffet was over. They were very rude. and they only gave me 3 items on the buffet.
Or you're getting up early running to get to breakfast, right? 9:30, you have to get up and run.
10:30 p.m. And her point of view was an egg costs the same at 6 a.m., 8 a.m., 10 a.m., and 12 noon. So how does it matter? Yeah, again, give people perceived control. People are not there to game you. You know what's one of the biggest facts we've realized once we did anytime breakfast? That people start and end breakfast at different times, even as couples.
Okay.
That's an amazing insight. And think about it. Your wife may like a coffee earlier, or you may like a coffee earlier.
Yeah.
So they start and end at different times. Somebody's on a call, somebody's coming in. But we kind of took away that hassle of saying, hey, can you hold it for me? And 80% of the time it's fresh. 100% of the time it's fresh. 80% of the time it's organic. So we try and source sustainably. So you eat fresh.
Yeah.
We cook fresh. We tell you, sir, it's going to take 30 minutes. We cook from the region. So in Goa, there's a raw omelette. In Gir, when you're watching the lions, you may even get a jalebi because people in Gujarat have jalebi for breakfast.
Yeah.
So you could have a sweet breakfast too.
Mm.
So it is always from the region. It's sourced authentically. It's anytime you want. In Goa, people today are having breakfast at 3 p.m.
Mm.
and it's never charged for. So you don't have to ask me, is breakfast included? Not included. Another major irritant gone.
Yeah.
I didn't build this. This is 10,000 negative feedback at the best hotels in the world. The third was people had a perception that alcohol is very expensive.
Mhm.
And they never liked the welcome drinks because they always found them to be sugary. They always found them
sweet,
to be
yeah.
heavy on calories.
Yeah.
So we said, let's address both the perceptions. Let's do natural drinks and let's do unlimited cocktails.
Hmm.
So if you want to walk in and because you're in Goa and party starts when you're in Goa, so let's send you beers. Means today we have requests and saying, I really don't want to drink at the hotel. Can you send me a couple of beers in my car when you're picking me up? And you're saying, yeah, of course, because I'm going somewhere. Of course, it's on the house. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
So I think, it was unlimited cocktails on arrival, all from the region. So if you're in Bhutan, you'd get a plum wine or a red rice beer. They do a very nice red rice beer. If you're in Sri Lanka, you'd get a passion fruit and a rock. If you are in Goa, you'd get a dandeli, which is fenny with chilies and soda. And you could have anything else that you wanted to. So, we have a norm in hospitality that 30% of your revenue should come from non-room related material. So that means cocktails, dinner at the hotel, lunch at the hotel. And so I was saying, guys, we were underperforming that metric. I was speaking to my team in Goa and said, sir, that is because of your policy. People are having breakfast at 2 p.m. So nobody's having lunch. Okay, they wake up late, they come, they have a meal and they only eat dinner and sometimes they go out. So my food and beverage sales are crashing.
Yeah.
So can we restrict breakfast till 12? Because that's a decent time. They'll still be the best in India.
Sure.
But my point was, will it be the best in the world? They said, yeah, maybe it's the best in the world. I said, why don't we set the benchmark for the best in the world?
Yeah.
Think about it. The next brand which is coming to disrupt you actually does not have any leeway unless they're saying that, our breakfast starts at the airport or something like that. Yeah. So very difficult for any other brand to come and disrupt you too. And it's convenience. So I said, whenever a guest has breakfast at 2 p.m., you've disrupted his brand experience for any other brand. Next time he goes to a super luxury hotel and say, you know what, this is pretty good. But you know what, Postcard was amazing.
What's the best?
And I think that's what's got the brand the kind of cult following that it enjoys today. Because it's, if I may say, a lot of companies say they're customer first. I think we are customer obsessed.
Yeah.
And due to that customer obsession, all our decisions are customer first. So I don't think we're customer first. I think we are customer obsessed. I think in both the companies, really.
Kapil, one of the most fascinating things about the postcard is how you localize and customize that experience, right?
So again, it's about thinking through. And actually, let me show you. I'll have to just get out and then we pull up this box there. What? So, for example, these are our teas. This is called Merchant of the East. Why Merchant of the East?
Yeah.
Because there's a very nice story that you can read in every room that we put. And the story goes that the British actually set up the whole network of railway network and everything because in the East, their primary thing was to take tea.
Okay.
And the sad part today is, think about tea tourism. When I talk about tea tourism, which country do I talk about? You know which country? Not India. You talk about Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
But India is the center of the tea trade globally.
Yeah.
So why are we not so proud of tea?
Correct.
Why did TWG not come out of India but came out from some other country? So we thought, let Merchant of the East be the global example of tea better than anywhere else in the world. You always thought TWG was great. We think Merchant of the East is better.
Yeah.
Okay. And everybody's entitled to a different opinion.
Yeah.
But that meant we did everything. We did new flavors, like I'm doing the Elaichi chai here. We're doing a flavor called cocoa mint here. The blue ones are flower teas. The green ones are different flavors of green teas. The red ones are black teas, and high quality of packaging, high quality of production.
Yeah.
And I think it's just taking pride in what did we do. So this is what we did in terms of teas. We're doing our own wine. And
You
we
do?
are
The vineyard also?
our own vineyard too, of course. And we've been actually producing wine stealth since 2019. It was being matured for 3 years. The first bottles have just been released. It's India's most expensive wine, but it's a single varietal Cabernet Sauvignon, and the entire estate only produced 200 bottles. And right now, it's only available at the Postcard Hotel. But again, this is the bag that we use at our hotels.
Yeah.
So every single hotel that you've been to till now, mostly, this is organic cotton tote bag. It always has a message. Could be sunshines and swims. When you escape to the postcard, you're an escape artist. So it's always a different message. This is a brochure. Again, more like a lifestyle magazine. They not look like a brochure showing you WCs of hotels and bags of hotels.
Yeah.
Of course, I expect a bed in a WC when I check into a hotel, but more about the location.
They're all
the
postcards,
destination.
like-
They're all postcards, and even simple things like when our guests are traveling. So one irritant is if you have a black bag, which is your bag. So our baggage tags are different. They don't break. They are hardy. They send the message across, and you can see your bag from a big distance. So, we like to, if I may say so, think through everything. And why is this done like this? Why can't the best tea come out of India?
Yeah.
Why can't we regain that glory back? Think about it, that the only luxury hotel in Assam, one of the richest states in the Northeast that we have today, in terms of culinary heritage and culture, is actually a postcard hotel.
It's
And we
amazing.
all
Why I
opened
wouldn't
the
thought
postcard
that.
hotel, and whenever we'd go for a visit, and when we used to stay at a hotel there close by, we used to carry our own bed sheets and towels because we're not sure. Means I don't think India has been explored. I think India can do 100 more postcards.
Yeah.
And the only criteria to a postcard is very simple. So either it has to be in the forests or wildlife, it has to be in the mountains, it has to be beachside towns like Goa or on the sea directly like the postcard on the Arabian Sea. It has to be in tea, coffee, wine, spirit estates like the postcard on the Dharanti state. We're doing a beautiful hotel in Chikmagalur. We're doing a wine hotel, announcing it very soon. We want to do the world's best whiskey hotel in Scotland. For example, it's not only restricted to India. So it has to be there. And the fifth one is palaces or historical buildings like what we've done in Goa, taken over 400-year-old estates and converted them into super luxury hotels. We open a 400-year-old estate, the Postcard Chikalim, in the next 3 months. And the building itself is like you're going to a museum, really. And that's the history of Goa. For all the negative press that you saw on Goa, well, I think people who wrote about it on LinkedIn or other things should also answer one question. Have you been to Goa and stayed at a cookie cutter hotel? Cookie cutter means that hotel could be anywhere, like you cut keys.
Correct.
At a cookie cutter hotel yourself in 3 acres, and now you're dissing on Goa. Then why did you go there? Because that's not the real Goa. So why didn't you, in your own country, seek the real Goa? And when you see the real Goa, you'll fall in love with it because it's absolutely amazing. Of course, it has its own shortcomings, but you'll love it. But I think people themselves, very easy to just criticize. And I used to tell them, and every time I would go to Goa, I would just hate these hotels. 1 acre, 200 rooms. And these are some of the leading brands of this country.
Yeah.
Means doing the biggest disservice to hotels. Why doesn't Venice have hotels like that? Those skyscrapers.
Yeah.
No, I don't ever think against skyscrapers, but how would it look on the canals to have a 20-story building?
Yeah. Or a glass facade.
Or a glass facade. But you can't do it. You know why? Because they're very proud of the culture, the heritage, the tradition they have.
Yeah.
And I think so are we. Except now we need to go ahead and implement it.
Yeah.
And I think the Postcard Hotel is just a direction. And why people love us so much is, I think, because we're doing what people always wanted to do, really. And secretly, they wanted us to do it. And we're kind of doing it so people resonate with it more. Not that people didn't want it. People love it. And that's the whole idea. So the hotel has to be true to its destination. And why these destinations? Because the story of the destination needs to be bigger than the story of the hotel. And the hotel is just a part of that story.
I love the passion, the attention to detail, the sort of localization that you do. In this context, I was thinking about as you were speaking, there's this whole trend where people are going towards homes, right? There's Airbnb, which is like you walk into and live in somebody else's home. How does that compete with what you are doing? Like, or is that complementary?
No, so great question. So I believe hotels can be mapped on two axes.
Okay.
Premium,
Mhm.
because you need to be financially viable, because the other three guys were not financially viable.
Yes.
Lost control, so I need to be financially viable. And this axis is for differentiation.
Mhm.
So look at the first step. The first step of hotels is commodity. I can build 1 lakh rooms, good AC, good bed, build 5 lakh rooms. That's commodity hotels. Yeah, you can build anywhere. Second step is great product. There are hotels which you look at and saying, wow, they look nice, but service, you may not get your breakfast or your lunch or your drinks or whatever, or maybe dirty or unhygienic, but product looks good. Third is great service. That's where most of your brands come in. Great service. I get my breakfast in time. I get my cocktail right. They know how to make everything. Great. I love the stay. Fourth is where Airbnb comes. Airbnb says, if you're in Paris, live like how a Parisian lives. Yeah. So that is what I call experiential hotels. Like you'd say, now today, every cookie cutter hotel company also calls themselves experiential. They're not. Airbnb is. And that is why it is one of the most valuable hospitality companies in the world.
That's
More valued than any other hotel company.
Hmm.
The last stage is transformational hospitality.
Hmm.
It has the highest premium and the highest differentiation.
Hmm.
And what is transformational hospitality? Is what you saw, the attention to detail and everything. And in one line description, hotel stays which stay with you much longer after you've checked out.
Yeah.
One line description. That's called transformational hospitality.
So you go leave transformed.
Yeah. So basically it kind of stays with you.
Yeah.
So at the Postcard on the Arabian Sea, which is 0 meters from the sea, we do a very nice experience where we take you for breakfast with your partner into the middle of into the middle of the Arabian Sea, and you're watching dolphins dance by because it's early morning and they're dancing by, and just the crew and just you, not on a cruise ship, but just you and your partner, and you're having breakfast. 10 years later, if I was to ask you, Sandeep, and say, which was the best breakfast you've had in your life? And you'd say, 10 years back, I was at this hotel in India, the Postcard on the Arabian
And
Sea.
breakfast with the dolphins.
Yeah, and I had breakfast with the dolphins, and there's nobody else. There was only one boat there. It was
Yeah.
only us.
Yeah.
And that's one example.
Hmm.
But I was at the hotel at the Postcard in Gir, and they were doing this thali of Junagadh for me.
Hmm.
Okay. And the Nawab had passed away long back, but this culinary traditions of the Khan Samas was being displayed in a luxury hotel to me. And I think this is what I call transformational hospitality, which stays beyond.
Sure.
Airbnb slips into experiential, which is great.
Hmm.
But in experiential means you look at Airbnb today, you can't be guaranteed hygiene, you can't be guaranteed electricity, you can't be guaranteed security, you can't be guaranteed water.
Hmm.
These are real issues
Yeah.
in so many cities in India today.
Sure. Sure.
So when you kind of cater to all these things and you kind of make sure great, clean bed, everything, I'll give you a real example. You can use 600 thread count bed linen and say, that's what I use, and I'm using this linen. Any quality of linen, if not processed correctly, if not processed in a good laundry correctly, will become the lowest common denominator of linen that you can buy from a street side, roadside bazaar in 30 days. So you have to process the fabric correctly for it to retain the crispness, the beauty of the fabric.
Yeah.
That means even a 6-room Postcard hotel needs to have its own laundry. Otherwise, we won't open it.
Yeah.
That's the difference between transformational hospitality, quality of sleep, quality of experience, quality of every single thing, quality of the tea that you drink. You're not going to get this in an Airbnb. So that's the point. So the point is there are 100 touch points that you would have to put to make sure that your stay is transformational.
The final point I want to talk to you about, Kapil, is that in your business and mine, we end up hanging around or with relatively wealthy folks, right? What are some of the insights that you've derived from sort of serving some of the most successful, wealthy individuals in India or overseas? Like, what do you take away?
Just as one thing, treat me with respect and don't school me. So a lot of people get into this habit when they're trying to run a venture that you are defining the rules. So when I tell them, when I kind of launched the hotel and I said no check-in, check-out time, is because you're not in school anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the most valuable commodity that a wealthy or an affluent household has is time with each other, Kids are studying somewhere, they're here. That's only 4 days they get together. Okay, if the most valuable commodity is time, and if the most valuable commodity is how I see you as a human being and not as a person, and not just as a room number, and I see you as a human being. I think if you can take care of that, I think that's what people are seeking. I think more and more that we go digital in life, I think people are seeking real human experiences. They're seeking a human touch. And for all the wealthiest people that I have met, and as we've spoken to my team and I've said how were they when they were staying there, the some of the richest fund managers, some of the biggest Bollywood celebrities who stayed with us. And every single time they've had a personal connection with the team which is serving them, and they've spoken for hours. And you would think that these people would not even speak for 2 minutes, but and spoken about some of the most important moments in their lives for hours to my teams. Means even today, I think my teams in the hotels are better friends with some of the most iconic people that I would love to meet personally, and I haven't had the opportunity to do so. And they are like personal friends. They're invited to their personal birthdays and everything. And I think that's extremely important because we all need to forge a human connection. And once you forge that human connection, it's about people discovering people. And I think Grant Chesky says it beautifully. And he says, it's not about people discovering places, but it's about people discovering people.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very powerful line. At the Postcard Hotel, we want people to discover people to forge human connections. And I think when we kind of create an environment to do that, that's absolutely amazing. I'll give you a personal example. I was at the Postcard in Saligao on New Year's. I kind of had to change 4 hotels because every single hotel was going full, started moving around. And one morning, it was kind of creating a community of like-minded people. And there was this gentleman who runs a top venture fund in this country. I'd never met him earlier. There was this gentleman who runs one of the biggest wealth management business. I think the CEO of Barclays Wealth Management Asia Pacific, Nitin, I believe.
That's right.
Nitin was there. And then there was a gentleman who had served on one of some of the most important Tata boards, Mr. Hardeep Singh, and he was the chairman of Cargill. And all of 4 of us, and I kind of knew Hardeep earlier, and all 4 of us were kind of having a coffee together, bumping into each other at the Postcard in Saligao. And we were just standing next to the pool and having a coffee together.
Yeah.
And I think it's the idea of people discovering people.
Hmm.
And all of us have kind of nearly kept in touch after that.
Obviously.
Yeah. And I think that's what's most exciting about, and I believe that's the future of hospitality. The future of hospitality is not self-check-in kiosks and check in your bag and you don't see a human being. I think the future of hospitality is human connections.
Yep. I love it. The fact that at the end of all the wealth, everyone is seeking something very basic, which is human connection.
Exactly.
Kapil, you're a fascinating entrepreneur. You're a fantastic professional, and you're a great podcast guest. It was delightful to have you on
If,
the
if
podcast.
times ever get tough, I'll kind of go to this full time then to raise money.
You never need to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you so much.